Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Summer Discovery Program event, Paper Airplane Challenge. I'll be your host today. My name is Jackie, and I'm a librarian with LA County Library. Before we begin, I'd like to invite you all to join our Summer Discovery Program. It's our annual celebration of reading and exploration for all ages. By reading and completing activities, you can earn prizes and including books, gift cards, and more. You can register at your local library or online. I will put the link in the chat right now. As part of our summer discovery program, we are offering activity kits with fun projects for toddlers, kids, teens. So stop by your local LA County Library location to pick up a kit and register for the Summer Discovery Program while you're there. Now here is librarian Michelle to present today's activity. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for that introduction. So, we are going to get started and we are going to be talking about paper airplanes today. So, we can't talk about paper airplanes without talking about flight. Um, and so that's where we will start. And so people have been wanting to fly since they saw the birds in the sky doing it. And so um, the other thing about flight is it's one of those subjects that there's a lot of information out there about it. And that's because it's been around for such a long time. And we don't have that much time to talk about it all, but we will go over some aspects and some just highlights of the history of flight. So let's get into that. I'm going to share with you a PowerPoint. So let me just start that here. And one sec. All right, there we go. So to start off, flight and what we know of flight as humans has started from what we understand around 1000 BCE. And that started in China with the invention of kites. And so in China at that point, they wanted to fly like the birds. And so they created kites just to be able to understand flight and how all that works. And so this is going to be a brief history. So we're moving through time here. And the next point that we are going to stop at is with the Wright brothers. You may have heard of Wilbur and Orville Wright, and they are what we know as the creators of the modern day airplane. So this picture here may look a little more familiar than some of the other flying mechanisms, or at least the kite that we've seen already. And so um, they worked for a long time to try to get something that looked like an airplane to fly up in the air with somebody steering it. And after almost 1,000 flights in the year 1902, they were successful and they created a plane that flew by a controlled pilot. So one person was able to get in there and to fly this airplane. And the next step in their process was in 1904, just 2 years later, these brothers, they tested and created a plane that flew for 5 minutes. And for us, that may not seem like very long, but at that point, that was a record. So um, it was definitely something that was a major feat in the world and history of flight at that point. So moving along, we are kind of coming to the maybe what some would say is the future of flight. And this picture here, you may or may have not have seen this before. And it looks kind of like an airplane, but this is actually a spaceship. So um, this is Virgin Galactic, and it's a company that was founded by Richard Branson, and it was his effort, or it is his effort, to create a space travel experience for kind of more everyday people, more people that aren't astronauts. And so this is what is going into the future of flight. There are other companies that do this, and this is kind of just taking off. His company was founded last year, actually, 2021. And if you were wanting a flight on this rocket to go into outer space, it would cost you $250,000 to $400,000. Kind of a lot of money, but I want to ask a question. So put your answers in the chat. If you had the opportunity, if it were free, you want a ticket, whatever, if it were free, would you go to outer space? Put it in the chat and let us know. For me, I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it. I'd really want to see kind of how it goes for others, but yeah, what are people saying in the chat, Jackie?
We have a lot of yeses.
Oh,
Someone wants to know what the question is again. The question
okay.
is, would you jump on this vehicle to outer space if you had the chance? And we have a lot of yeses, a
Okay.
lot of fans of air travel here
All right.
today.
That's good. Brave
Yeah, they
people
said
out
that
there.
that it'll seem cool and just a lot of excitement over
Okay.
over this. Oh, someone says, no way, I'm not a bird. They'll stay on the ground. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That's a good answer. I like
I
that
like
one
it.
too.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for your responses. Um, I just want to. I always like to hear what people would say, because there's a lot of brave people out there. Maybe I'm just on the apprehensive side, but maybe eventually I'd try it. But I'd like to see how everything goes before I jump on this rocket here. So, but yeah, thank you so much for sharing your answers there in the chat. Um, so I want to keep on moving here because we are going to make some paper airplanes today, and we are going to talk about how all those things work. So this next part, just before we get to folding and creating our airplanes, I want to talk about how airplanes fly just a little bit before we get to folding. So this next slide here, we're talking, there's 4 different elements that are included in flight, that these things work on your airplane as it's flying. This could be a paper airplane, this could be a kite, it could be any flying vehicle. These forces are working as it's going through the air. And so I'm actually going to show a video in a moment, very short video, but it kind of gives us an idea of the world record holders, his process of creating a paper airplane, and how we can use those tips in our own creations. But also, before I get into that, the video doesn't talk too much about 2 of these elements, which are weight and thrust. And we will continue talking a little bit more about that right after the video. And please put in the chat if you do have any questions as we're showing that. So give me one moment and I will switch it on over so you guys can see this video. It's very, very interesting, actually. All right, give me a moment. And Jackie, while I'm doing that, if there are any questions in the chat, let me know.
Yeah, someone wanted to know what's the world record for paper airplanes. I think what they mean is maybe how far a paper airplane has gone. If that's probably addressed in the video, right?
Yes. So you will see in the video just kind of the process, how far, and all that kind of thing. And please enjoy. And again, if there's any questions, let me know.
Paper airplane. The technique you learned in school won't cut it. When making a paper plane, there are 4 things to consider. When you're looking for distance, you want your paper as heavy as possible. Paper is measured in the weight of a ream, which is 500 pages. The average copier paper in the US is 20 to 24 pound stock. Guinness World Record rules allow us to use paper that weighs up to 100 grams per square meter, or about 26.4 pounds. Paper that weight usually comes in A4, an international paper size not commonly used in the US. John Collins, the paper plane designer who currently holds the world record, says you want paper that's been photocopied on.
The heat process from the photocopy machine stiffens the paper, and the ink is not actually ink, it's a microfine layer of plastic, which those two things, the heat and the plastic, help the paper hold a crease. Use something that's in the recycle bin, and don't use something that's been printed on. That ink will hurt the fibers of the paper. You want something that's been photocopied onto if you're using a piece of recycled paper.
For any paper airplane, you'll have to deal with two major forces during your flight: lift, or upward force, and drag, or backward force. Your plane needs to generate more lift than drag to go up. When more drag is generated than lift, the plane falls.
You have to engineer in a way for the plane to gain speed to counteract drag. You put a small bend at the back of the plane upward so that when the plane has gained sufficient speed, there's enough air bouncing off of that upward bend to deflect the tail back down, and that pulls the nose up, and now it's level again.
When designing your aerial vehicle, you'll want to make sure the wings are bent upwards. This is called a positive dihedral angle and helps the plane to correct itself if it starts to sway. When one wing dips too low, it produces extra lift and the plane will return to its center of gravity. It's not easy to find a space big enough to break this world record. Collins' world record-breaking airplane was thrown by quarterback Joe Ayoub at the McClellan Air Force Base in Sacramento, California. And Collins says you need the perfect weather conditions.
All of our best throwing days were 55 to 62 degrees, 25 to 30% humidity. If the air thickness is wrong, or if the wings aren't stiff enough to take advantage of the air quality, the plane tends to die in that last third. You want perfectly stable.
The best form isn't like a pitcher in baseball or even like an NFL quarterback. It's more like a javelin thrower.
And the great thing about Joe is that he had a knowledge of changing his throw to match the sport that really was invaluable in looking at how to throw the paper airplane the best way. We worked together for about 18 months, and he was working on his throwing technique the whole time.
To summarize, find 100 GSM A4 paper. Design your plane with the proper center of gravity and center of lift, and throw it the right way in the right place under the right conditions. Congrats, you're now a world record holder.
Righty. So I hope you enjoyed that video and were able to get some tips there. So I don't think I heard actually in that video, but the world record is 252 feet and 7 inches. Just to answer the question that we had right before the video started. And so while we are answering questions, are there any other questions in the chat, Jackie, before we keep going?
We did have a couple of questions. One that we got was regarding the type of paper. So I did respond to that person, letting them know that we're using printer paper today. Yes. But part of the fun is to experiment with other types of paper. Is there a particular type of paper that you found works best?
I would say the classic white printer paper. I'm kind of liking that better than some of maybe even this. I have a couple different colored papers that I have. They're a little thicker than the white paper that you would use in the printer. And just for me personally, I like the white paper because I feel like it's lighter and easier to fold. But like you said, it's a great idea to experiment with different types of paper, even try construction paper, or like in the video, John Collins, the paper airplane guy, as he says, is the world record holder, and that was him speaking. And he says to use paper that's been printed, like maybe some recycled paper that you have printed out something on through the printer. And that's usually the best type of paper that he says that gets the right stiffness. But again, this is all fun, and you can try as many different types of paper as you would like. but personally, I do like that white paper. So we will definitely get into more of that in really just a moment. But there was a couple other things I wanted to share right before we did that. And I'm just going to hop back into my PowerPoint here because, like we mentioned right before the video, there's 4 different elements that are happening or working on your plane as it's flying. And just to give you more of a visual here, so the drag, you're going to have drag because that's just gravity, but also you're going to have weight depending on what type of paper you use, will affect the weight of your plane. And then the lift you're going to want to have to keep the plane in the air. But the one thing I do want to point out is on a regular airplane, the thrust or the power, I guess you can say, to make the plane go comes from the engines. And in our aspect of creating paper airplanes, that thrust is going to come from your arms, how hard and how in which way you throw it. And so keep that in mind when you are testing your paper airplanes, because we definitely want to do that. Because you're going to need to have to throw your plane in a certain way to get it to go where you want it to go. So let's switch on over here to creating our planes. So I have a workspace here, and all you need to create paper airplanes is paper. And if this is an optional, you can use some markers if you have maybe some white paper or even colored paper that you want to decorate, make it fancy, make it fun. These are your paper airplanes, so you can do what you like on there. But if you just have paper, that's okay today. So I'm going to be using some colored paper, different colors for our examples. But as we already mentioned, try out different paper types of paper that you have at home. So our first design here is going to look something like this. And this plane, I feel, is built for speed because it has this tip on it that kind of cuts through the air. And so let's get started making this one. So we will make this one in red again. Alrighty. And please feel free to stop me, Jackie, if there's questions in the chat or if I'm moving way too fast, let me know. All right, so first things first, you're gonna start with your paper, folding it lengthwise in half.
Oh, Michelle, yes. I am gonna interrupt.
Of course.
I did pin your screen, but yes. Someone mentioned that you're still sharing.
Sorry about that.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, commenter.
Okay. Yes, thank you for that. I forgot about that. All right, so here we go. Hopefully you can see that a little better. All right, so you're gonna fold your regular paper. It should be looking portrait style at you, and fold it in half lengthwise. I'm just gonna turn it just to make sure the corner or the edges are lined up as much as possible, because that's very important when you're folding your airplanes. You want to make sure your edges are together, and you want to make sure your creases, this is a crease here that we're making, are very creased, I guess you could say. They're very stiff and pronounced. All right, so now that you have this crease in the middle, you're going to take your right corner and you're going to fold that down to meet up with the crease you just created. And as close as possible is what you're looking for to that crease without going over. And this is what it should look like. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side right here. So you can move your paper around to help yourself fold it as much as you need to. All right, so far your paper should look like a house, sort of. Alrighty, so now what you're going to do is take this right edge where you created that edge here, you're going to fold the whole thing to meet up with that first crease that you made. Fold the whole thing, making sure the tip of your paper is creased well, because that's going to be the tip of your airplane. And fold it all the way down. Okay. And then you're going to do that same thing, same fold on the other side. We do a lot of repeats on this, which makes it a little easier. Okay. And then one tip, you want to just make sure the tip of your airplane is folded very well or creased well, because you want it to be as pointed as possible. And then you fold it all the way down, just like that, making sure everything's creased. All right, so far you should look like this. All right. And then you're going to fold the whole entire thing in half. Fold it all in half. And then crease it again just to make sure everything is flat. And we are actually almost done. Not done yet, but almost done. So this next step, you're going to want to fold your fold kind of the tip first, because for this paper is a little thicker. You may be using printer paper, which is a little easier to fold, but you want to make sure, let me hold it up here so you can see it a little better, but make sure that you're folding your tip and creating a point like this. Okay, fold it down to create a point. And you're going to want to make sure you line up these edges, the bottom edge and the top edge of your wing. Not all the way down to the back, but once you get to kind of the middle part here, stopping here, you're going to want to keep about a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch in the back. Just so, because this is going to be where you throw your plane from. So you want to give yourself a little room for your hands.
Michelle, so we are getting a few comments asking to maybe go back a few folds. If you want to, maybe just go over the last few folds again. Thank you.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, so if you are here and it starts and yours looks like a house, this is our first fold. We folded it in half completely. It's going to look weird because I folded it, but we folded it in half completely. Then you open it up and you fold the right corner down to that first center crease. Fold it down to center crease, and then you do the same thing on the other side, and you should be looking at your little house here. This is the roof, this is the house part. All right, so then you just take this edge of the triangle here that you've created, and you fold it into the center and fold it all the way down and make that crease there. And then you do the same thing on the other side over here. So fold it down, and then you should have a very tall triangle. I'm trying to get the right angle so you can see the whole thing here. Should have a long triangle with 2 flaps, just like that. Okay, so the next step is to fold the whole thing in half. There we go. Fold the whole thing in half. And then you're going to want to fold the tip down and give a little space in the back so that you can hold your airplane with. Okay, and then you just do that same thing on the other side. So I'll start from the tip, and because this paper is kind of thick, it's kind of hard to fold on the tip because that's where it's thick. All right, and so now I'm getting to the middle of my wing here, and so I want to give myself some space right here. So I don't fold it like that. I fold it a little further just to meet up with that other wing. Okay.
Michelle, when you're done with
Yes.
that fold, can you redo a few steps?
Okay.
I'm getting a couple of comments requesting that.
Sounds good. So I finished this plane, but I will go back and we'll start on a fresh page because it's a lot easier to see without all those crazy folds. So not sure exactly where you're at on your fold, but again, to start from the beginning, you're gonna just fold it in half lengthwise and making sure your creases are good and your edges are lined up. And then you're gonna wanna fold your right corner. Once you open it up, you're gonna fold your right corner into that crease that you just created. So it should line up there. Okay, so that's the second fold. And then you do the same fold with the left corner to this middle crease on the other side. Okay, so now we're at the house step. So it should look like a house. You should have two corners folded down, and then you take this edge of what looks like the roof, kind of. Take that edge and fold it to where the point and this edge line up with this middle line here. So the point and this edge line up with the middle line. And you don't want it to go over that line because then it's going to be very hard to fold it in half. So folding that. So again, the point here and this edge here need to line up with this line right there. So lining up. And then once you do that, you want to make sure everything is creased and as flat as it possibly can so that when you fold it, it won't come unfolded. So next step, hope you're here. Hope it looks like a triangle now. It should look like kind of a really long triangle. And then you're just going to fold everything in half. Fold it all in half. Okay, so it should look a little small, like a smaller triangle. And then you're gonna fold and try to get the tip of your plane to meet up. Okay, so get this edge of this wing here to meet up with the bottom edge of the plane, but only halfway. Okay. So once you get it to go halfway, you're gonna take the rest of the half and fold it over so that it hangs over a little bit more, like that. All right, are we here? Are we at this step? Or do I need to show it again? We will do it again because we gotta do the other side. So now that we have that one wing down, we're gonna flip it over and basically just match this other wing up with this one down here, which makes it easy because we've already done it once. Match it up, making sure the tip is really folded. All right, how are we doing out there? Your plane is finished. It should look something like this.
All right, so we got a comment saying from someone that says that their plane flies fast. So we have someone out there that's actually using theirs now, which is awesome. We have someone else that made 3.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, so a few people have had some success with their paper
Hooray.
airplane.
I'm glad to hear it, and I'm glad to hear you're testing them already because, you can, it's your choice really to either wait till they're all done to test them or you can test them right away. It's kind of more fun to test them right away, but that's just me. So if you want to test them right away, go ahead, and you can always modify, changing, like the video said, you can kind of give your wings a little bend, however you want to do that. So we we have a couple more to go here, and let me see here. All right, so we'll keep on moving here. So if you want to create another plane, this is our second design. It looks a little bit like this. And this one is very similar to the one you just created. It starts the same way, like the first few folds are the same way. So I'm gonna just go through there and make those. So this will give you some more practice on making that first one. So here we go. Fold it in half lengthwise. You take the right corner and meet it up with that middle edge. Same thing on the other side. All right, and so this next step is very different. So you're at the house step. So you're gonna fold the whole roof down, and that's gonna be meeting up with this middle edge. So the point of the roof is gonna meet with that middle edge, middle crease, middle line that you created, and you're gonna fold it all down. Fold it all down, and you should have something that looks like an envelope. And next step here, you're gonna fold this right edge down to maybe about an inch. You should have about that much of the little triangle here to meet that edge in the middle. So let me get it closer so you can see that. So right corner meeting up with this edge here, you have about an inch there. And you're going to do that on this other side as well.
So when you have a chance to pause, Michelle, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Can you go over the steps again, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
So the steps are exactly what you just did on the last airplane. You start with your paper like this. You fold it in half lengthwise. And once you open it up, you're going to fold that right corner down to the middle. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side, down to the middle. So we just did that. We just did those, and that which makes it nice. You don't have to remember whole new steps. So then once you get to this place that looks like a house, you fold the whole roof down and meet it up with this middle line, the very first fold that you created. Meet it up in the middle, and it should look something like an envelope, a little bit like an envelope. And then you take the right corner here, and you want to fold that into that middle line. Again, let me make it closer so you can see it. There we go. It's a little better. Okay, so it should meet up with this line here, your corner, meet up with this line. Same thing on the other side. This corner should meet up with this line here. And then it should look something like this, where you have this little triangle left over here. And you have these flaps. So that triangle there, this is the next step. You're just gonna fold it up, basically just to lock in these little flaps you just created. Okay, so fold your corners, and fold that little triangle that was there left. You fold it right up. And then you fold the entire plane in half. There you go. So this should be the next step after you fold the little flap up. You should fold the whole thing in half. And then once it's in half, you're basically just going to take some space to create for your hands to throw it. And so you're going to take maybe about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And you're just going to fold it down to meet the bottom edge here. So again, fold your wing down about 1 inch to a 1/2 inch and crease it well. So that's your first wing, and you're gonna flip the whole thing over, and then you're gonna just meet up the edges on the other side. Okay.
That looks great, Michelle. We do have a few people requesting if you could go back a few steps.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's gonna get it.
Yeah, we'll get it. And if this may be your first time creating this airplane, so don't feel bad if it's taken a little bit longer. It didn't take me the first try to get this, so I'll try my best to go slower and help you all learn how to do it too. All right, so let's pick a new paper here just to make it a little easier to see. So we'll go with this yellow page here. So you want to start off by doing your crease or your first fold, folding the whole thing in half. Fold it in half, and then open it up. And then you're going to take your right corner and fold it to the middle. There you go, something like that. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Alrighty, so now taking your edge here, this is the house step again. We got back to the house. So taking your edge here, you're going to fold the tip and the edge to this middle line right here. I don't know if you can see that, to the middle line. So just fold it. Oh wait, I'm doing the wrong plane. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. So we are still at the house step. We're still at the house step, and for this plane that we just created, we're gonna fold the whole roof down. All right, fold the whole roof down there. Down. Okay. And then once you have your roof down, it should look like an envelope, something like that. And then you take that right corner and fold it down about 1 inch from this tip here. So you should have space, about that much space, when you fold this edge to the tip, or to the fold right there. So you see that, about 1 inch there. And then you're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side right here. And you fold it down to, that's kind of hard to see. Let me move it up so you can see it. Down to meet up with that other one there. Okay, so it should look something like this. And then this next step, once you've folded these corners down, both corners, you're going to take this this triangle here that you have left over, and that's basically going to be to lock these flaps in so they don't fly around when you're throwing your plane. So you're just going to fold that up just enough to cover them, just like that. So it should look like this now. And then once you have that flap folded up, you fold the whole thing in half, kind of like a taco. There you go. So there is your paper airplane. So far, the tip, this tip should be folded up with your flaps inside, and then you fold the whole thing in half. And this second to last step here, you're going to fold the wings down so this tip matches with this tip. These two touch. And you give yourself a little space down here to be able to throw your airplane with. Okay, so it should look like that. And then you flip it over and you do the same thing on the other side. So you just want to, on this last step, you just want to match this wing up with this wing right here, since you've already created that. All right, so how's that looking out there?
Well, we did get a few comments so far. We have people testing out this style of airplane. And what I'm getting is that someone says that there's curves. We got someone that mentioned that there's spin.
Okay.
And someone else said that it goes pretty far. So
Great.
Thank you all for sharing your results with us.
Thank you very, very much. So we have these two awesome airplanes that we have created, and it sounds like they're working out for you. So we are going to wrap this up a little bit more. And I want to, before we get going, I want to show you actually some things. Give me one moment here. All right, so before we get going, let me show you one more airplane because there is one more left, and this one I feel like is a little bit easier than the first two that we created. So basically what you're going to do is start with your airplane, or your paper, sorry, like this. With it's going to be horizontal. This might be a little hard to see, but it should be facing you and horizontally. And then you're going to fold it in half this way. Instead of lengthwise, like we did in the beginning, you're going to fold it in half this way. Uh-oh. Just like that. Okay, fold it in half. So it should look like this. This is starting off a little bit differently than the first one. And so you open it up and it should look kind of like a book that way. Then the next thing, this is kind of familiar. You're going to fold that right corner down to the middle. And it's going to look just like that. Right corner down to the middle, right, almost to the center of that line. And do the same thing on the other side, making sure these tips are almost touching, but not touching, because you don't want to go over the line. So your plane should look something like this so far. Okay. So the next step here is going to be a lot different from the first two. What you're going to do is take this top edge here, and you're going to take it about 1/2 inch. So let me fold it so I can show you. So about 1/2 inch, that width there. And you're going to fold that down 4 times. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. All right, so I'm going to do that again so everyone can see what we did. We started off by folding the whole thing in half horizontally. We took the right corner, folded to the middle, left corner, folded it to the middle. And then this, I just flipped the whole thing over so I can see it a little more easily. And I took and folded 1/2 inch from the top, this top part, about 1/2 inch. And then I did that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times. All right, so I hope we're all here with your 4 times, folding it down. Next thing you're gonna do is fold it in half. Uh-oh. matching up these wings here. Fold it in half. It might be a little hard to fold this front portion because it's thicker now, but do your best. Fold it in half. All right, so open it up. Actually, don't open it up. Keep it folded. Keep it folded, and it should look like this. So if you're not here, you should be having your four folds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and fold the whole thing in half. That's where we are right now. And we're almost done here. So then you're going to fold the wing down, again, giving yourself some space for your hand to throw it. And you're going to fold it down here. Maybe, like I said, maybe an inch. Give yourself an inch to fold that wing down. And then flip the whole thing over and do the same thing on the other side, but it's easier just to match up the wings. Match up the wings. Okay. So if you're not here, fold it in half, give yourself about an inch, fold wing number 1 down, and then fold wing number 2 just the same way. All right, and almost there. So far it should look something like this. All right, so almost there. The next thing you're gonna do is just take the edge of that wing and just fold it up. Fold it up, and so the wing should look like this. And I just took, I don't know how many inches that is, but you can kind of guesstimate. It doesn't have to be precise. And then just fold it up, and then you do the same thing on the other side. Oops. Fold this up. Okay, so now your plane should look something like that with the wings kind of up. And I'm excited to hear how these look when you are, how they work for you when you throw them, because this one's a little fun to see it fly. So that's where we're at. That's 3 different airplanes.
Yeah,
There
so
we
we
go.
did get some feedback
Okay.
requesting for you to go over some of those steps again. I still
Okay.
don't have any feedback from people that have completed their third plane and how that went, but this program is being recorded. So everyone here will get a link to the recording of this program if they'd like to
Great.
watch and pause and try out all the different styles and share with a friend. We did have someone that completed their third plane and said that there's twists and turns, which is
Great.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, this one's a lot of fun to watch. So once you get all those steps down, let us know how they go. So I will go over just a couple more steps, but I do want to show you a few resources before we run out of time here. So I will kind of quickly go through this, and then if you still aren't there yet, you can definitely watch the recording after our program is over. But yeah, so once you fold it in half, like the book here, like we said, you want to take the right corner and fold it down into the center, and do the same thing on the other side. And this was the one that we folded down 4 times. So taking a half inch of your the top edge of your paper and folding it down 1, 2, 3, and 4 times. Fold it in half. And then you're going to want to fold, take about an inch here and fold your wing down. And then you do the same thing on the other side. And then, So you have a little space to throw your plane with. You also want to fold the wing up and fold the other wing up. And so your final finished plane should look something along these lines. And again, watch the recording if you still are needing some assistance with that. Just because I want to show you some awesome resources that we have at LA County Library before we run out of time. So one of those resources are, of course, our lovely book collection. One of the books that I want to feature is the book actually written by John Collins, the man who has the world record um, for the furthest thrown paper airplane. And this one is called Fantastic Flight. And so it has all types of other types of airplanes, paper airplanes that you can fold. And you could check this out at your local library with your library card, and other books that feature paper airplanes as well. Um, Also, I do want to share with you a resource at lacountylibrary.org. Give me one moment and I will get that going. All right. So here we go. lacountylibrary.org. Um, Once you go to our homepage, you are going to want to go to our digital library and our databases. And so once you go into our databases, there's a lot of things to see here. And these are basically different databases that are on different subjects that you can use if you need to write a paper or you're just doing research for yourself or just interested in a topic. You can go to any of these here highlighted to kind of get you started. But one that I want to feature is called Britannica School. And Britannica School has a lot of information, and these levels here are just basically it helps you based on your reading level, and they all have great information. So I just encourage you to check out all the levels there. Um, and once you once you get to the level that you're looking for, you could do a search. And so I would just for example, do one on flight, since that's what we're talking about today. And you can go into any of these articles here, like we talked about with Wilbur and Orville Wright. You can get some more information about them. They have pictures, videos, all kinds of awesome information that you may be looking for. So I would just encourage you to check that out. And so just again, to share with you how we got here, let's go back to lacountylibrary.org. It's going to be digital library and databases. So once you click on databases, it'll take you to all the databases that we have, and you can go down, you could type in your topic here, or because I already knew which one I wanted to go to, I went to Britannica School, and you can go from there. So yeah, there's a lot of information, a lot of other resources there to just explore. I would encourage you to do so. But with that, I'm done with all the information that I have for you all today. I hope you guys learned something, and that you keep flying your airplanes and keep folding. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much to all of our participants for giving us all the great comments, all the interaction. It's really appreciated. And before we finish, just a quick reminder, please sign up for our summer discovery program at lacountylibrary.org/summer-discovery, or pick up a game card at your local LA County Library. To learn about our upcoming virtual programs, please check out our website, lacountylibrary.org. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.